You know that incredible, almost magical feeling of connection a parent has for their child? It's this powerful, almost primal force that really it shapes our families and our futures. But what if that connection isn't just magic? What if it's biology? What if it's chemistry? A process we can actually understand and, even support? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into.
And this is really at the heart of it all. We have this idea that the parent-child bond just kind of clicks on at birth, right? That first look, that first touch. But it turns out the science tells a totally different story. A story that begins way, way earlier than you might think.
So, to really get into this, we first have to get our terms straight. This whole powerful relationship is built on two key ideas, and you hear them used interchangeably all the time, but they actually mean very different things. Okay, think of it like this. Bonding is all about the parent's feelings, that emotional connection flowing to the child. Attachment, on the other hand, is the child's emotional connection flowing back to the parent. See? It's not a one-way street at all. It's a conversation, a two-way relationship, right from the very start.
Now, here's the crucial part. This bond doesn't just form in a vacuum. A parent's ability to bond is deeply, deeply influenced by their own history, especially how they were parented themselves. Now, good support in your adult life can definitely act as a buffer against risks, but past trauma, that can create some real challenges. It's a continuous story that's literally being written across generations.
So, if our past experiences play such a huge role, how does biology get us ready for it all? This is where it gets absolutely fascinating. Nature does not leave something this important to chance. A parent's body, and specifically their brain, it literally rolls out a biological welcome mat for a new baby.
That's right, I'm not speaking in metaphors here. The journey into parenthood triggers actual, physical, structural changes in a parent's brain. It's like a complete neurological renovation project, and it's designed for one purpose: to care for a tiny, completely helpless human.
So, what does this brain renovation actually look like? Well, for starters, we see increases in gray matter in the parts of the brain linked to motivation. That's what gives you the drive to get up in the middle of the night. The brain's cortex literally rewires itself to become hypersensitive to a baby's cries and cues. And maybe coolest of all, the brain's reward pathways get a total tune-up so that caring for the baby actually feels good and really, really motivating.
So, what's fueling this whole construction project in the brain? Well, it's a very powerful and precisely mixed hormonal cocktail. You can think of these chemicals as the architects of the parental brain. They're the ones orchestrating all the changes we need to connect with our babies.
All right, let's meet the key players in this cocktail. First up, you've got oxytocin, the famous cuddle hormone. It surges to lower stress and ramp up those nurturing feelings. Then there's dopamine, the reward chemical, which makes hanging out with your baby feel amazing. And here's an interesting one. Cortisol, the stress hormone, actually drops during skin-to-skin contact, signaling safety and calm. And finally, prolactin kicks in to drive those core caregiving instincts. They're all working together in concert to build that bond.
And this quote from the research, it just sums it up perfectly. Oxytocin isn't just about a warm, fuzzy feeling. It is a key biological tool that is actively fighting stress and building that critical parent-infant bond. It's pretty much nature's own anti-anxiety and pro-connection drug, all rolled into one.
Okay, so as elegant and amazing as this whole biological system is, it's not invincible, let's be real. The journey to parenthood is often full of hurdles, and these challenges can absolutely disrupt this otherwise natural bonding process. The research points to a few key stressors. Some of them are internal things, like a parent's own anxiety or depression, but others are external, stuff like financial strain or just not having a strong support system. Even the birth experience itself, if it's traumatic or if it involves a separation like a baby needing to be in the NICU, that can put up some major barriers to this very delicate process.
So you end up with this constant interplay, this push and pull. On one side, you've got all this strain. Stress from a parent's past or what's happening in their life right now can pile up, and it makes it so much harder to connect. But on the other side, you have buffers. Things like strong, supportive relationships and proven, science-backed programs can act like a shield, protecting that fragile bond from all that stress.
So, if we know the biology and we know the barriers, then what can we actually do about it? This is the empowering part. The science gives us a blueprint for how to help through policies and programs designed to build stronger, more resilient families.
Let's start at the big picture policy level. Get this. Out of 41 developed countries that are part of the OECD, 40 of them, 40, mandate some form of paid leave for new parents. The United States is the one country that does not. So when you think about everything we just talked about, the brain changes, the hormones, the need for a low-stress environment to connect, this lack of protected time for bonding is a really big deal for a family's well-being.
And because there's no federal mandate, access through your job is, well, it's pretty rare. As of 2019, only about 18% of workers in the private sector had access to paid family leave. That means more than 4 out of every 5 families are left to figure out this critical bonding period all on their own, without that foundational support.
But policy isn't the only answer, not by a long shot. On the ground, in hospitals, and in communities, there are these incredible evidence-based programs that are directly supporting parents by targeting the exact mechanisms of bonding we've been talking about. Let me give you a few powerful examples. Remember the hormones we talked about? Well, kangaroo care, which is just structured skin-to-skin contact, is a super simple practice that directly boosts oxytocin and lowers cortisol. Remember the stress buffers? Having a doula provide continuous support through childbirth is proven to help moms feel more positive and at ease. And for those really high-stress situations, like a long NICU stay, the family nurture intervention helps parents build these responsive, calming routines with their baby. It's all connected.
We can also make changes on a bigger systems level. The Baby-Friendly Hospital Initiative does exactly that. Hospitals can choose to adopt a set of 10 evidence-based guidelines, things like making sure there's immediate skin-to-skin contact after birth. So it's not just one program, it's a whole framework that changes the entire hospital environment to protect and encourage bonding right from the very first hour of life. And ultimately, this is the key takeaway from all the research. There's no single silver bullet here. There's no one magic fix. The most effective strategy is a multi-layered one, combining broad supportive policies like paid family leave with those targeted, evidence-based programs that help families right where they are.
So, we end up right back where we began, with a question. The science is clear. We understand the neurobiology of this parent-infant bond. We know the stressors that can threaten it. And we have proven effective ways to protect it. The question really isn't what works anymore. The question is, what are we going to do with all this knowledge?